Hey everybody, welcome to Kerbal Space Program, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a Apollo mission. Now, I saw somebody post online, they wanted to know how to build one of these Apollos. So there's basically two ways. One, you go to the stock, and you can scroll through here and pick the Acapello, Acapello, and you can load that into the game. And there's your Apollo rocket. Now, this isn't a full Apollo rocket because it doesn't have all the various stages, because this is realistically in Stock KSP all that you need to get to orbit. But if you're like, oh man, I really want 5 stages, or I really want to know how to build this, that's what we're going to go over in this video. It won't necessarily be exactly this, but we'll kind of come up with more of a 5-stage Apollo. But before we do that, I just want to show you here, whoops. So a couple things to note, because people will see this. First of all, this part here is apparently got the landing gear and all that stuff attached to it. I don't know why. This here is just little tiny squares that they've placed here, and they've colored them. There's actually no part that actually looks like that. I know that could be very confusing for people. And if you press 2, there's also controls. 2 gives you tool, 3 gives you move, and then 4 gives you retool. You don't have to do that. So there's that. But yeah, this piece here, these are just, again, antennas that they have. I go here. There we go. Antennas that they've just sort of stuck in there. So they work, but they're just visual things. So that's an antenna and that sort of thing. But this box here is this, and this does require the breaking ground or something history. One of the DLCs. I have both. I don't know which one's from which. But it's there, and you can sort of build this thing and stick all these parts and stuff like this. Not how I would have probably built it myself. It works, but it's not really the most fantastic correct way to build this particular rocket lander and stuff. But you know, it's there and it's stock, so you can just jump in and go. The top here actually has it where if you close the shroud, it's packed with batteries and power and all this stuff in the shroud. This shroud is, the part here is called the SM25 service module. So if you want to do your thing, you're going to grab some parts and do that. And then of course we have a what do we call this thing? Launch escape system on top, and it's attached with a docking port junior. So we're going to go new, and we're going to say don't save, and we're going to start here. So we're just going to go through it and start. So we have the command MK1-3 command pod. It holds 3 Kerbals. That's the important part. You could literally build this with the smaller command pod if you want to make like a smaller Apollo rocket. Or you can even use, what else do we have? You could use this. I don't think that would be point. I think that only holds so many Kerbals though. Yeah. So in the stock game, you have this part. This part is it. All right, we're gonna get more focus on this. So we're gonna zoom this all the way up here. You can do this by using the scroll wheel up and down, and we're gonna get to there. Now, this requires a few things to work and not explode. So number 1, and if you think I know how to build this or whatever, just feel free to skip in the chapters. But this is made for basically complete newbies. So we're gonna go to thermal, and we're going to pick a heat shield. Now, I believe it is the 2.5 heat shield, and it is. There you go. And then we're going to put on top is our docking port, as I showed you not moments ago. You can pick the small one if you want to. You can pick the large one. I like the large one just because I think it reasonable should fit. And then we're going to go down to utilities. And in utilities, we're going to grab these radial parachutes. Okay. These are, we're going to hit X, and we're going to get 2 of them, and we want them to sort of sit there. And that's going to be our parachutes for coming down. We're going to want to set them to a pressure of about 0.33. You can set them higher, and they'll deploy lower in the atmosphere. But here's the thing. If you're coming down to Kerbin, 0.4, some mountains are at 0.4, which means these won't deploy, and you hit the mountain and then explode. So there you go. If you want to put a drogue chute in for whatever reason, You can do that, of course, and I would recommend you put one in the back, and you can set its pressure obviously before this, but not too high that you lose it in the upper atmosphere. What you do not want to do is cover this area here, because if you do, your Kerbals will not be able to get out of the rocket, which is important. Next stage is we have to build the lower section. So that we're going to go, and it is a decoupler, the TD25 decoupler. There you go. And then as you saw before, we did have that SM thing, and that is in, oh, where was it? Payload. And there it is, the service module. All right. And then underneath the service module, we will put the rocket engine, and that's just simply because there's a specific rocket engine that goes in there, and it's called the Wolfhound. All right. There you go. Now we can hit the shroud button, and this is what tricks people up. And then we can see the internals. And we can throw all the stuff that we want in there, whatever, batteries, etc. So we'll start with batteries, and I'll show you sort of the easy way. Again, depending on what mission that you do plan to go, if you're just going to go to the MUN, you can kind of get away with stuff, but if you're going on longer missions. Now, here's the thing. You can hit X, and it's going to go double what you want, but you want to hit C. And the reason for it is because if you hit C and it's in its I'm going to stick mode, things kind of do weird stuff. Whereas if you hit it again, it's now going to flat on whatever surface you happen to do. This is useful if you want to put more than this. And then I'm going to rotate it. There we go. And I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to put a whole bunch of batteries. I don't really need to, but for what we're going to do, sure, we'll do that. And then in the center column, what we're going to do is go to our fuel tanks. There are a few fuel tank options that you can put in. Obviously, there's some that don't work. They're just simply too big. So you want to find the smaller fuel tanks. Now, I normally hit this size because generally it's the size of the fuel tank you want. And I think there's one bigger than this. There may not be. I don't always play stock. And then you can kind of do this. And yeah, they overlap, and you might be like, oh, I don't like them overlapping, but you don't have to do this, but you can if you want to. Or you can just use this, you know what? I'm sure people are crying and screaming and going. Anyway, you can use these type of tanks, but you can also use this tank here, which is the the XTF44 tank. And you just kind of do that. And just FYI, there's nodes at the top and the bottom. It doesn't really matter which ones you use. There you go. You got fuel, you got power, and there's two nodes at the top and stuff. Now, one thing is it gets a little bit weird. Sometimes the fuel doesn't really flow well. So I just go into the fuel tanks, and I grab this external fan duct, and I just duct the fuel there. I don't know why this needs to be done, but yeah, it's an odd one. So we're gonna go do that. So that's our top part almost done, and then we're gonna go to engines. I think it's engines. No, it is in utilities. Utilities has the escape system, which we're gonna put on top. Yay. We'll talk about staging near the end of this thing. So there you go. So this is our rocket and stuff. And if you want to, you can also put, because if we're trying to be accurate, and we probably are, you can grab one of these little guys here and hit C so you stick again, and you can put him, I would put him right about whoops, there. And then you extend the antenna. No, it's got to be the other way, because the antenna, if we're going to be accurate, it points backwards because it's pointing back at Earth, right? You're not trying to communicate with the moon, you're trying to communicate with Earth or Kerbin. All right. So there you go. Now here's the fun, tricky part. We're going to go to payload, and we're going to pick a protective shell. And there's a couple options we could do. Obviously, this is too small. That's too small again. Okay, there's not a lot of options. There's the protective shell 2.5. Okay, but what we're going to do is go in here and click interstage nodes. Okay? And what this does is it allows us to do this. So that we can, it gives us a whole bunch of nodes. So now we can stick it anywhere we want, like that. Now, here's the thing. This looks good, but it has one problem. That node doesn't actually decouple or anything. So what you have to do is find the larger stage stack separator and put it at the bottom of your rocket, and then attach the node to it. Okay? And then what we can do, we'll do this a little bit later, but in case people are like, I just want to know this part, you go like this and you get it so that it's lined up with that, and then you click like this, hitting left alt. Oh shoot, no, there you go. And it's now set, although I didn't do it very well. Let's try that again. There. It'll go to there, the third one there. Okay, hit left alt, and then you click the button there, and now it has a payload bay in there, which you can then put your lander and all this other stuff, which is what we're going to do right now. But just because people are going to want to know that, that's how you build sort of an interstage node payload bay using the protective shell slash fairings. All right, so now we're going to go back and we're going to find, we can use a stack step later, but we actually want a decoupler now. And there's a couple options we can have. We put the bigger, we don't want to put the bigger one on, so we're going to pick the decoupler. And the reason we're picking the decoupler now is because we want that decoupler to stay with the ship. This separator we want to separate, otherwise it's sticking there in space, and that causes problems when we want to turn this rocket around and head back here, which then somebody's going to say, hey, you forgot to do RCSs. Ooh, all right. Yeah, RCS ports. These are really useful. You should put them around your rocket. You should put 4 here and probably 4 here. If you wanted to, there's balance. You can put it in the center, or you can use the bigger ones. Let's use the bigger ones. Again, depends on what you're doing. There's 2 sizes, but yeah, so 4 and 4. So we'll stick it right there, and the other one we'll stick it up here. This also has RCS thrusters on the capsule itself, so that should be balanced enough for what we're doing. Okay, so then we have the bottom here. So the bottom is a little tricky because we have to build the lander upside down, okay? Which means we have to build it from the engine first. So we have to go and find the engine we want to use. Now, you can use a whole variety of engines here for your lander. I'm sure there was a specific one they had in mind, like maybe the Spark. I don't know. Spark's a nice one, but let's see what else we got here. I should have paid more attention to it. The mod. Can I just maybe? I'm gonna hit. Oh. I want to hit. Don't save. No, I want to hit. Hang on. Cancel. I'm gonna say. Pico Apollo. And if you want this, I'll probably have a link in the description or tell you how to get it. I'm gonna hit save, open. Okay, now it's saved. And what I can do here is I want the Apollo, and I'm gonna hit merge, and merge just puts it right beside my rocket, which is useful because then I can actually see what engines they use. They ended up using the Terrier engine. All right, so we're just gonna use the Terrier engine as well. All right. So the Terrier engine's here, and then they put a fuel tank in, and they did all that fancy stuff. So that's too big. Oh, they probably use this. Yeah, so they probably use that one, I'm guessing. Like I remember. Yes, I know they use a Terrier. All right, well, whatever. We're gonna use this one, probably. Yeah, let's just use this one. Unless I convince myself that the smaller one's better. No, I don't want to use the smaller one. Okay, so we're gonna use this one here, and you can do the whole fancy thing where you make it yellow. I'll show you guys how to do that. So you go to structural, you find, I think it's this structural panel here. It's gold, all right. It's gonna be a bit tricky because it doesn't like me. This is purely and totally pointless, but if you want to do it, You can do it. And then it's done. Okay. So we made it look cool, right? And we should probably put the landing gear on there. Oh well, that's okay. And then we have our module thing here. And we're going to, yeah, this is why we don't do that until after. Leave the pretty things till last. All right, so we're gonna put our module here. Now there's two ways of putting this module, down and up, okay? Now here's the thing. This module here, what we wanna do is actually put in a decoupler, okay? And then we want to go and get the little tiny engine. Where's the engine? I think we're gonna take a spark engine. We're gonna rotate this and put it upside down for a second. Oh, there we go. We're gonna take the little tiny engine and stuff it in there like that. That is what we're doing. And then we're gonna rotate it the right way up and put it like that. That way this can decouple, and that little engine is our ascent engine, and it'll ascend with this. Oh, I see why they do that now. And then we take the docking port and we stick the docking port on. That's the junior. Oh, so they don't like using the senior because of that side. Well, that makes sense then. So ignore what I said before. I almost never dock with that silly thing. Alright, we're putting the junior in. There you go. Aha. There we go. Okay, so that's good there. Now what we also need to do is add some RCSs to this. And go back here. And I think it's this size. Yeah, it's this size. Again, oops, we'll go with 4 and 4 like that. Don't worry if it's overlapping this, like if you're really like, oh no, just do it this way then and have it lined with those, probably better. And then yeah, you can put your panels in, but I'm just gonna make sure I'm not missing anything else. Oh, landing gear. Yes, landing gear. So there's a bunch of different landing gear that you can use, but generally you're either using this big stuff here or you're using this smaller one here. Or you can use this tiny one. That's in fact all 3 landing gear. Given that we have the Terrier engine that we've used, then we should probably use these ones here. And you have to kind of drop it down enough, otherwise you will land on the engine itself. But exhibit A, we grab the engine, just stick it here. So yeah, so it's there so the engine isn't the landing part. Not to say you can't land on engines, just that you shouldn't. And then you hit retract and it retracts it in. And if you use the smaller fuel tank, it can fit in there or whatever. Or if you're like, oh no, that's really bad, you just sort of, oops. Yeah, not worry about it. That's what you do. All right, and then we put our, and then here we need to make sure deploy shield is enabled. And the reason that is done is because when I put these on and I go like this, go like this, and then I go like that, and I go like that, and then I do the same thing here, just below them. Oops, let's do that up a bit. There we go. Similarly here and here. And then we're going to press 2 again. And I'm holding shift so that I only move a little bit. And there we go. And then you can also move them in a little bit and to the right. And then out, because that's not cool. There we go. And you got your absolutely awful looking lander, because I'm doing this quickly and I'm using the wrong size of tank. But that's because I want a lander that's going to go and land. All right, so there we go. There's your lander. And then you can go and grab this and basically move it up to where the lander is almost touching the top. And again, we can go straight up. I think they threw a tank in here, didn't they? I think they threw a tank in. Yeah, they have it sitting on a tank. Sure, I can show you how to do that. I don't really need to, though. There's actually no real advantage to having that sitting on a tank for what we're doing. So let's not do it. Okay, so we're going to go build fairing, and we're just going to go straight up. Or we can do slightly outward here. Oop. No, we're just going to go straight up. You know what? I'm just going to move those landing legs. So we're going to hit 2, like this, and we're just going to move them in. There we go. Just ever so slightly. All right. Build the fairing. And then again, we can hit Control, left Alt, and now we have it set up like that. Okay, so now we can grab this up here and move it all the way up to the top, because the next thing we want to do is start building these lower sections and picking what engines we're going to pick. So you have protective shield sizes for fairings, and they come in 50, 30, 3.75 effectively, and then 2.75. They come in smaller, but obviously that doesn't fit our rocket. So you can pick to go with this one, do the interstage nodes, and put them in here, and then have it where your rocket is going to go like this, I guess. Build fairing. It goes like that, and then you can have it like that, and then go like that. Come on. And have it that, and then we want a clamshell deploy, and you can do it that way too, but it's not going to look as cool as doing it with the 25 and then doing it. I know it depends on what you're doing, but we'll just stick those there, click that, grab this, we're going to stick it down there, and then we'll move the whole thing up so it's closer, and that way we don't have to go as far into space. Okay. There we go, and we can pick clamshell deploy, and we can say it's 6-sided. Why? Because you can make choices. You can even change the color and have it different colors and stuff. It doesn't really matter. It's a visual thing, but there you go. So now we're going to build the upper stage of the Apollo rocket. I think at this point most people are going to understand how we're doing this, but if you don't, please stick around, and if you find this useful, feel free to tell me. Now, again, this is Kerbal, so there's a couple options in fuel tanks that we can pick, if we can find them in this list. That is not mods help a lot, by the way. There it is. So we can pick a giant fuel tank like this, and then we're going to pick an engine, and the engine we're going to pick is in here as this is the skipper. I think that's one option. Probably the right option. And then there's the poodle, which also has a single bell. All right, no, this is the one we wanted. There we go. I'm gonna get these right. So there you go. So you want the poodle. There's 2 variants, but you want this variant if you want to look like Apollo, according to the pictures that I have here that keeps closing on me. And then you need to have an interstage ring, and that interstage ring is, surprise, surprise, going to be a decoupler, because there's no interstage parts. Like, I should just make that clear. There's no magic parts that say interstage. Like, there's these parts here, but they're not empty, and we need that. So what we do is for each interstage, we go here and we pack a decoupler, not a separator. We want the decoupler, and you put it at the bottom, and then you grab the next size up. That is probably not the next size up, is it? Yeah, it's 5. There you go. And then you go like this and edit fairing, and there we go. You put it like this till you're happy about right there, and you go left Alt, and when it gets green it'll let you do it, and if it doesn't, then you go back here and you click on the engine and you say shroud off. There you go. And then you go left Alt, build your fairing, and it should be happy there. There you go. And now you have an interstage. It's a couple extra steps, but if you want that look, that's what it is. All right, so now this is our 3.75. So now we need a 3.75 tank, which we will find down here. And I'm hoping I can find one that's the right size. Is that right? There we go. Cool. Now we're going to take our skipper engine. We're going to put it here, and we're going to pick bear, and I think we need 2 of them, which you can't just stick 2 engines on the bottom here. What you need to do is go back here to your payload, and you should be able to find not the service bay. Is it here? Yeah, here they are. Engine plates. And they look like these tubes, which is odd. And then they go like that. So we want the engine plate that is 37 one. We're going to stick on that. And then you want to say, you can pick the size in a second, but attachment double. And then what we're going to do is put 2 of them on. And then we want to make sure it's the right distance down. Just grab this. And it looks like it's medium. And there you go. So what we'll do here again is find a decoupler, and it's the 37 decoupler. It's the same height there. We're then going to go up to the engine plate. We're going to turn off the shroud. We're going to stick that on there, and then we're going to go like that. And when we're happy, we'll click like that, and there you go. That's your next stage. And then we come down here to the bottom, and we find the biggest fuel tanks we can, which I believe is this guy here. And then they have this special piece that you can stick on the bottom of the rocket, like so. And it allows you to put 5 at the bottom. Now, you can also do this with, this is a side note, if you grab the largest engine plate here, you can actually go and have 2, 3, 5, 4, this is 7, and then this is 9. So if you want to do it and have more, you can just put an engine plate in. Is it 9? This is quad. Yeah. 8 times plus 1 and single. So if you find that you do need more thrust because you've built a giant rocket, you can do that. Now, engine wise, we are going to grab the Vector engine. This is the engine they use, and there you go. Ta-da. I'm confident that's going to work. Is it the Vector engine? I'm pretty sure it's the Vector engine. No, it's not the Vector engine. Sorry, my bad. That's for the space shuttle. This is the space shuttle engine. What we want is the giant engine, and I don't remember which one it is. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, that looks like the F1 engine. Let's say that's the F1 engine, because the other option is this guy here, and that guy is just way too big, and you can't get rid of the stuff on the side, so that's not the right engine. But yeah, there is an even bigger engine in Kerbal Space Program. So there you go. There's also this cool engine here. It's that you could, in theory, put. I think, is it the right size? No, it's one size down. Never mind. If you wanted to build a smaller Apollo, you could use this guy here. Anyway, so there you go. You have all this stuff, and then what you have. Just give you. I don't know if I can do a side-by-side comparison. I can zoom out here. Put that about there. Was it saying I need to throw wings in there? Sure, I can throw wings in. Which wings does it want to use? It wants to use those ones. Okay. So we're going to go to arrow, and we can throw some wings in. There's a bunch of different options, honestly. You sort of pick whatever you want. You stick them on like that. There you go. Those are different than those ones. Okay, whatever. You know what? I'm going to leave them on anyway. It doesn't matter. There's a couple different wings. These ones do the same thing as the tail fin ones here. I think that's the ones they have. Yeah, this is the one they have. They have the tail fin one. So we can put that in there. Alright. So there's the tail fin. And again, here's where you can go to, if you think that's out too much. You can go absolute, or you can click it to local. And local allows you to move it like that. So you can move it there. You can move it up. Or if you're like, that's actually not bad. You can also rotate it if you want. And then you got this. Now, we'll need to make sure this is properly staged in a second, but we can toss that ugly thing here. Okay. Bye-bye. And then we want to go to structural, and what we want to find is it's right here at the bottom, these things here. Now, you can place them in a couple different spots, but I generally recommend at the top of the first stage. And then what you want to do is hit shift, and then you can move all the way down, and you want it just above the platform, because that way when you spawn, it'll spawn here. If you had this all the way up there, it would spawn up like 50 feet in the air or something silly like that. Alright, so this is pretty good. Now we just want to make sure we stage the rocket properly, and that's down here. So we're gonna move this down here, and I'll make this bigger for you guys. Unfortunately I'm filming this at 4K, and it's a little tricky in stock to make it not do it. Okay, so we want the engines on first. Then we want to stage, and we want to do this because at the end of the day, if we want the engines running before we stage, so this thing doesn't tip over or anything like that. Then we have this fairing here and this decoupler, So we can go like this. Now, we don't actually need the fairing to activate, so we can actually go and, can we say, turn it off? Non-stock. Okay. Well, we can by doing this. Where's the engine? That's the engine. So we're going to put that here, and then what we're going to do... Oops. That's also the... Oh, we can do it that way, right? Okay. I know we could do it one way or the other. So what we want to do is we want to stage the engine plate, and then we want to stage this. This way it doesn't stage, it just drops off like that. That's the neat trick. And the next thing we want to do is here. Yeah, we want to stage the decoupler. Yeah, we put an engine plate here, and we have a decoupler on this. I guess we didn't need the decoupler. Yeah, we don't need the decoupler. Sorry, my bad. Because the engine plate decouples. I forgot about that. Okay, so we're good now. Okay. Hopefully it decouples. Otherwise, I've messed this all up. All right, next thing we want to do up here is we don't have an engine plate, so we do want to just decouple that. The next stage is turn on that, and that will just fall down. Then we're going to go up here, and what do we have up here? Okay, this is where things get a little tricky. So for this, we want to decouple this part right here, which is right there. So checking our staging here, we're going to make this guy here go first. Where's the next stage? This guy goes first, that guy goes second. All right, like so. Okay, so this guy goes first, and that's going to release the spacecraft. This guy's going to go, and that's going to release the lander, so that's good. And then this is there, we don't care about that. We do want this engine turning on after we do this. We're going to do it RCS wise, otherwise bad things happen. Okay, and then up here we do not want to do this. This is bad. Yeah, so this is fine. Yeah, that works there. That's there. Okay. So I think this is properly staged. Hopefully. We'll find out when we launch this. And hopefully this has the proper amount of thrust to weight ratio as well. But let's save that. Save it. And then we're going to launch it. And we're going to launch it because we kind of... We'll go to the moon, but I don't necessarily need to go all the way to the moon. I just need to get this to orbit. Once it's in orbit and I do that, I show you guys how to swap the craft. At that point, I think it's relatively straightforward to get to the moon. Not that it's straightforward to get to the moon. I should be careful how I say this, but that will be the end of this tutorial to show you. So yeah, we have the rocket here. We're going to turn it on, and then we're going to hope really, really well that I did not understage anything. All right, let's go. Turn on the engine. Stage, and it's a wobbly. What the heck is going on here? Alright, so we're gonna go revert to launch, and we're gonna fix these problems with this important reminder. Everything should be strutted. This is not normal KSP with mods. This is normal KSP without mods. So we're going to put struts on everything. These are struts. We're going to go like this. We're going to go up there, and we're going to grab these struts, and we're going to put them everywhere. Like, just everywhere. All over the place. I don't care how many struts there are. I just need them all. There we go. Okay, so we've now strutted the whole rocket, and I'm hopeful that that is going to work the way I want it to now. I'm just going to also shroud that just in case I think that needs to be done. I'm going to go like that. We're going to grab our decoupler. We're going to slap it right there. Go on like that. And then those pieces are going to go like that. Okay. There we go. Awesome. All right. And we're going to take this. We're going to go here. Like so. All right. Okay, now that we've strutted the rocket and fixed this part here, we can actually launch. But if you want to have a little bit of fun, and you know, who doesn't like having fun, there's this neat little part called a Sepatron 1. Don't know why it's called Sepatron 1, because there's actually no Sepatron 2, 3, or 4, unless you get mods, apoapsis and periapsis motors, that you can add. And these are like little tiny, because they are small. Oops, there you go. They are little tiny retro rockets, or I don't know how to say the word, but undulating rockets, etc. But you can place them in a lot of different places, and they will basically run for a couple seconds and be little boosters. So what we're going to do is we're going to sneak a couple in here on each stage, because we can. There we go. And this is the last one, right? Yeah, this one here we actually fly away from, so we don't need it. Okay. Right. Awesome. And then while we're doing this, I realized that I did put a comms unit on here, but we should also put a comms unit on this guy here. Whoop. If you hit R and you do this, you can actually go and do it radially. There you go. Look at that. Cool. Doesn't really matter. We're going to be sending Kerbals up, but yeah, you can have communication here for transmitting science. And if you want to, you can move them through the rocket and whatnot. So there you go. Awesome. So yeah, we add the little Sepatrons. Now we're going to go and make sure we stage them, because they always get added at the bottom. So we're going to go and put one here. I think that's the right one. Let's see. Nope, that's up there. Okay. Yeah, that's that one there. Okay. And this one's gonna go here. Okay, so stage 1, 2, and then 3 is in space, and then we just leave that one behind. Okay, and that makes it look cool, and you'll see it when we launch this rocket. So we got Jeb, Bill, and Bob on here. We're ready to go. We're just going to move the engines down, because apparently they got moved around. There we go, just for cool looks. And then we can launch the rocket. So we press once for that, and then we also turn on our SAS. Otherwise this becomes a nightmare. And we launch straight up. And we're going to do this for a little while, up to about 5,000 meters. And the reason for it is because if we start to turn, you'll notice that the rocket wiggles. We can do a little bit of turning. It's not the end of the world, but this could go south pretty quick in Stock KSP with such a big rocket. So we'll just fly up, and we have plenty of fuel, so it's not like we have to be super efficient gravity turn, which would have us already turning significantly by this point. If you're like most people and you're like, I don't want my rocket to wiggle at all, you can go into the settings manual, scroll down. If you're like most people and you don't want to have wiggle in your rocket at all, you can go to the settings menu and you can turn on advanced tweakables. And this will allow you to get access to Auto-Strut. And you can Auto-Strut to the heaviest part. It's generally what I recommend you do. And you can do Auto-Strut, Auto-Strut, Auto-Strut. And it basically adds these struts instead. You can also Auto-Strut to the root part, the heaviest part, and that helps keep the rocket stable as well. Alright, so with Auto-Strut on, we can see that we now have a much more stable rocket. There's no more crazy wobbling happening like there would be if we did a lot of extreme stuff, but let's not do too much extreme stuff here, and we're just going to launch up into Kerbin's upper orbit. Okay, so we're back here and we got Val to show us how it's done. So we're going to jet forward until we're confident that the bell is out of the way. Turn around. Oh, we're going to align with our target. We're going to not be doing everything that we're doing right now. As it slowly floats away, but that's okay. We can catch up to it. So the ring is still there. Alright. Gonna give that a little nudge. There we go. Slow down. Take a second to let it sort of float out of the way as we get lined up here. Oh, there we go. And there we go. We are connected up. Now, what we can do is here, and we're just going to deploy that, and that's going to allow us to see what we're doing down here. Because the next thing we're going to do is going to say decouple this. There we go. This engine. We want to go that way. And we're off on our way to the moon. Thanks for watching this whole thing. If you run into any problems, let me know in the comments below. And for everyone else, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video where I'm trying to do this in 2.5 mode, which is Je ne sais quoi, which is the current series I'm working on, competing with Court Wade to see who can get to the moon first. Currently, we are neck and neck trying to get to orbit, but in the next episode or two, we will be attempting to land on the moon and see who takes that crown.